Yo, what's good, family of God? This is Who is Like God. I'm coming in hot because I've been studying the law of the Most High, and has found some really interesting and dope ways that relate to the Messiah beyond what we would think. So studying pays off, y'all. No credit to me. All praises to the Most High. We're gonna start. Check this John out. One of the main conclusions from that study was to see how in the offerings, fat was prioritized over the skins of the animals. For peace offerings, you would offer the peace offering, but the added layer would be the fat of the animal as a food offering. And verse 16 of Leviticus 3 says, all fat is the Lord. So it just shows how much God prioritized the fat, which ultimately shows us that only the best was supposed to be given to God by the old Hebrew sacrifices, which in a way prefigures Christ. Leviticus 4 goes into the procedures for sin offerings for different groups of people in that society. Another thing too that is since realized is that there's actually a direct way we can see that the sacrifices relate to Jesus Christ. If we look in the book of Hebrews, it's one of the New Testament books, which is a letter addressed to the Hebrew people. That's sort of getting into the nitty gritty about Christ as the fulfillment of all these Hebrew concepts and principles, and how he break this stuff is, and how Christ is the fulfillment of the Torah. Hebrews 13:10, we have an altar from which those who serve the tent have no right to eat. For the bodies of those animals whose blood is brought into the holy places by the high priest as a sacrifice for sin are burned outside the camp. So Jesus also suffered outside the gate in order to sanctify the people through his own blood. So that's a beautiful verse, and what that means is in the same way that the sacrifices would commence and they would take the fat of the animals and then burn the skins of the animal outside the camp, so too was Jesus killed outside the camp, or Jerusalem, which is another way where when we study these laws and these sacrifices, we can see the different ways that parallel what Christ would do, even to the exact location of where he would be crucified. So a lot of interesting stuff covering Leviticus 3 and Leviticus 4, because the whole system about prior sacrificing the fat and getting rid of the skins outside of the camp, I think, is a parallel that relates to